A senior representative at Russia's foreign ministry claims that commercial satellites are fair game for offensive action by Russia if it thinks they're helping Ukraine. Now, the official didn't mention any satellites or companies in particular, but Elon Musk's SpaceX has been providing internet services to Ukraine with telecom infrastructure there partially destroyed by the war. The White House says any attack on U.S. infrastructure will be met with a response.
Stuart Smith has more on this from Moscow.
Like the US and China, Russia has the capability to knock satellites out of orbit. And although hitting a US military satellite would almost certainly invoke NATO's Article 5 and a military response, the deputy director of the Russian Foreign Ministry's Department for Arms Control told the United Nations that quasi-civilian infrastructure could be a legitimate target for a retaliatory strike. He says the West's use of such satellites to help Ukraine is provocative and part of an extremely dangerous trend. Private companies like Maxar capture and publish satellite images of Russian forces in Ukraine, and tens of thousands of civilians there rely on Iridium's satellite network for communication. Never before has one country attempted to destroy the satellites of another nation, and as such the legal consequences are a grey area. But with thousands of satellites from countries helping Ukraine in orbit, some experts question how effective any attack would be. Stuart Smith, Newsmax, Moscow.
Thank you, Stuart.
All right, joining us right now to weigh in on the situation, former Undersecretary of Defense Robert Wilkie. Mr. Wilkie, this is troubling. As a citizen, I look at this. You're going to start taking out satellites, including civilian satellites, I think we're talking about. What's your take on this?
Well, it's part of the continued rhetoric coming out of the Kremlin, where they try to escalate the force of their words in order to intimidate the European audience. I don't think it's doing much here in the United States, but it is designed to break apart the solidity of the NATO and EU alliance against them. There's something else going on, and Katrina mentioned it in the lead-in. Putin's words about dethroning the United States. This has been building for a number of years. And Putin is not the puppet master in this play. This is coming out of Beijing. Russia and Iran are the two junior players in this. But the Chinese have been very clear that they want to destroy the international liberal order, that's liberal with a small L, that the United States has mastered since the end of World War II. And lastly, if you look at the national defense strategy that came out of the Pentagon this week, it's once again an inadequate response by the Biden administration to these multiple threats. They identified China as what they call a pacing threat, and they say we'll be fine in 2030 when the threat is here and now.
What do you anticipate happening with China and Taiwan? Because Xi has said that he would like to speed up the taking over of Taiwan.
Well, China is not ready to do this yet. There's 120 miles of ocean. They don't have the naval capability to transport. We'd be looking at something akin to D-Day. They don't have that yet. They are building it fast. And I mentioned our national defense strategy. This administration is removing 24 surface ships from our Navy at a time when it's killing our shipbuilding budget. China is in a position where if this continues, it can wait for the optimal time because we may not be able to respond. And you all have reported what my friends at the Heritage Foundation have said, that under this administration, for the first time since World War II ended, we have a military that you can categorize as weak.
Yeah. Regarding China taking over Taiwan, if it did so, when you lay out the scenario of a D-Day, D-Day, everything was destroyed in efforts to quash the Nazis. And in this case, it seems like there's a lot of infrastructure, a lot of manufacturing capability, a lot of technological know-how that China actually wants. How does that change the scenario in its attempts to take control of Taiwan?
Well, its attempts would have to take that into account. And if they can do it by reminding the Taiwanese that the United States is not in a position to come to its rescue, then they overwhelm them with that threat, and they maintain that infrastructure that they want. I mean, to capture Taiwan intact, and they're training to do this in a way that would not destroy everything on the island. They would corner the market on the chips for our computers, and then they would control the sea lanes in the busiest global commons on the planet. And those are those lanes that go across from Korea all the way down to Australia.
Yeah, and interestingly, it was reported yesterday that Vladimir Putin said specifically that the United States is wrong to destroy relations with China. Now, we know there's always a lot of rhetoric coming from Vladimir Putin, but reading into that, what do you see, or what do you think?
Well, I think Putin doesn't have a very good read on this administration, because this administration has done everything it can to placate the Chinese. This is not the Donald Trump approach to China. If you read their documents, their national security strategy, they mention climate change more than they do the People's Republic of China and the People's Liberation Army. It's the same accommodationist stance that the Obama administration had. And so Putin's just spouting off the top of his head. If anything, the Chinese are probably happy that this national security team is in the White House and not the Trump one.
All right, Secretary Robert Wilkie, thanks as always for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
No crooked establishment.
None of that twisting the
truth.
No talking down to me.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
I trust Newsmax.
Newsmax.
They don't tell me how to think.
They let
Me decide.
Newsmax.
real news
For real people.